The sky was deep blue, but the scene below was a nightmare. Columns of thick black smoke billowed into the sky, forming gloomy swirls, partially blocking out the light. The once peaceful neighborhood had now become hell, with the panicked screams of the people echoing everywhere. Rows of houses were ablaze, the flames flaring up like erupting volcanoes, swallowing everything within reach. Black smoke, thick and suffocating, emanated from every corner of the houses, making the scene even more terrifying. Fire trucks rumbled to the scene, sirens blaring. Firefighters in protective suits rushed into an unequal battle with the raging fire. Water hoses shot out like ferocious dragons, spraying powerful streams of water, but seemed too weak against the brutal power of the fire. The red flames licked each roof, each wall collapsed, creating deafening sounds. The hot air swept across their faces, burning like knives cutting into their flesh. People jostled each other in fear, their eyes filled with terror, not knowing where to run. Crying and calling each other's names echoed everywhere. Each passing second felt like a lifetime, as the fire, like a wild beast, refused to let go. After endless efforts, the fire finally began to weaken, the roaring sound of the fire giving way to the hazy smoke, slowly fading away. But when the smoke cleared, what appeared before their eyes was a scene of devastation. The houses that once stood tall were now just piles of ashes, desolate and full of sorrow. All that remained were remnants of life in a terrifying moment that had just passed. On the banks of the beautiful river, where the water usually sparkled in the sunlight, chaos was now taking place. A canoe was on fire in the middle of the river, black smoke billowing into the sky, contrasting with the clear blue sky and the calm water below. The entire hull of the canoe was burned black. The canoe could not withstand the destruction. It began to slowly sink into the water, leaving black smoke streaks on the river's surface. The river returned to its tranquility, but the air was still filled with the smell of smoke and the feeling of a recent incident. I stood at a distance, helplessly watching the horrifying scene unfolding on the highway in front of me. A container trailer was burning fiercely, the flames billowing like a firestorm engulfing the entire front of the vehicle. The fire was so large that its red color reflected off the sky and the road, burning everything within its reach. From afar, crackling sounds came from the engine and vehicle parts. Pieces of metal melted and deformed under the terrible heat. Thick black smoke rose from the fire, carrying tiny sparks, forming a giant smoke curtain that covered the highway. The shrill sirens of fire trucks rang out continuously, shaking the still air. Fire trucks rushed to the scene. Firefighters in protective suits quickly ran closer, directing powerful water hoses at the raging fire. But the fire did not seem to subside. The bright light of the fire contrasted with the frantic efforts of the rescue workers. They sprayed water and foam from all directions, but the front of the car was completely engulfed in flames. The once mighty car on the road was now just a charred, shattered, and collapsed frame. The acrid smell of burning rubber and thick smoke filled the air, forcing me to step back a little, coughing from suffocation. In the midst of the chaos, I saw the car owner, who was standing not far away, his eyes dull and sad as he looked at the remains of the car. His hands were shaking, clenched in helplessness. Beads of sweat ran down his haggard face as he witnessed all his hard work being burned in the brutal blaze. The fire gradually died down, but the scene before his eyes was still haunting, leaving a mournful silence in the middle of the once bustling highway.